Hello, my name is Rosario de la Torre from the West Kingdom, and we're going to be going over long distance teaching tips and techniques. One of the things that I go ahead and start with, especially since I live outside of the main kingdom, when I'm trying to figure out if I can go ahead and teach something at a distance, I go ahead and start at the very, very beginning. Try to assess, how does my brain work? Um, do I like conveying information in words? Do I prefer videos or pictures or songs? It all depends on how your brain functions and how you're able to convey information. That's the way you're going to want to go ahead and teach your class or convey your information, talk about your research in a way that your brain actually works. I find that if you're able to go ahead and put the information how it sparks joy for you, you find more people who learn in that same manner, and you're able to get your information across and your enthusiasm about your art across a lot better. What mode would my topic best be presented? What way do you enjoy actually conveying information? Do you prefer slides? Do you prefer videos, animations, newsletters, or live feeds? You could do something like um, Facebook Live or on Twitch in order to be able to do a class or something like that, in order to be able to get as much information out as possible about your topic and about your art or your craft. How can I get my information across? What works best for you? I found that some people work really well, like in TikTok, with short clips, something that is under 5 minutes. There's a couple of different Facebook pages that I love following because they do small little clippets of information. There's one that from a monk, and he talks about life during the Middle Ages. And so he'll go ahead and do little under 5 minute videos that talks about different aspects of a medieval monk's life, and show you the different arts or crafts that they did, all in small chunks. And all of those add up to one big topic. It's all about medieval monks and their life, but you have so many different things that you could go ahead and reach out to, and you could take it in manageable small sizes. You could also do something like a speech, something 5 to 15 minutes. That you could do audio. You could go ahead and convey your information. You could do like short stories or talk about literature in a way that the audience is actually listening to it. Or you could do something like a speech and you're actually doing like a presentation like at work, where you could also incorporate visuals. But it's something small and manageable, something that you will sit down for and get, more in-depth information, but you can present it in a way that is a little bit more in-depth than just the small clips. And those you could also do progressive videos in order to be able to add them all together to get more information on a topic. You could also do videos, so you could go ahead into something a little bit more in depth, about 16 to 40 minutes long. That would be either animation or video, or any way that you like getting your information across, where it's something in a little bit more in depth. It doesn't actually have to be a video, but you could do 16 to 40 minutes. You could have like a newsletter or something that is written out that takes that much amount of time. Just go ahead and let your audience know what it is and how in depth, how much they're going to need to invest into it in order to be able to actually get all that information. Or you could do like a full-on class that is 40+ minutes on something that you could get a ton of information on, or a task that takes a lot of brain power and manpower in order to be able to process it and internalize. One of the examples that I talk about is doing almost like a slaughter class, where you're actually taking video and you're presenting the before and after, including what steps need to be taken. That's one of the things that we can't do at a live event because it's against what we do, but we could go ahead and show the process if you're not able to get people to come to the area in order to be able to see that. Can this thing be taught? Can I actually teach this at a distance? Once you've identified how your brain works and how you prefer to get information across and how in depth you want to go into your topic, you're going to want to go ahead and actually find a topic that works well at a distance. Is this a topic, something that can be taught, long distance? Can I actually convey that information in a manner that my audience will understand when they're not right next to me? Can I talk about, would this topic be better in person? If I'm doing basket weaving, that's something that I want to do in person. If I'm talking about the history of basket weaving or the different patterns or anything like that, I could go ahead and do that at a distance because I could show you images and talk about the different things. If we're actually working on building something together, then I would want to be there. For example, if we're talking about a specific food and you want to taste it, you're going to want to have an in-person class. But if we're talking about a recipe, you can go ahead and have all that information. You could show the technique to cook it, and you could show the finished product. So you could still walk people through a lot of that information that you have, a lot of the research that you put together. You just won't have that end product for them to be able to try. Can you use this class as a building block for other classes? This is the part that I really enjoy, because you could always use information that you're putting together. If you're having something that you're conveying, that is something that is in person, you can't really go into a lot of depth on it. So one of the examples that I give is when I'm doing a broom making class, I could go ahead and show you how to put everything together. I could go over a ton of techniques, but that's all in class and that's a lot of hands-on stuff. But if you want to talk about the history of broom making, that is perfect for at a distance. I find that if I try to do that in person, it gets a little bit boring, but if I'm doing it through Zoom, we're able to actually get a lot more involved, especially if I have the link to to all the images, and we could go over a ton of different techniques and a lot of images or a lot of archaeological finds that we have with that stuff. So if you have something that isn't necessarily good in person, definitely go with Zoom, because that way you could actually have an interactive conversation through Zoom where they could actually see different aspects of it. Can you use videos, images, sounds to convey that information? So if you're able to go ahead and do that, and if you have the means and the support, go ahead and do that. If you're doing like a play, if you're trying to go ahead and do a reenactment of a literature during the time period, if you have animals that you're trying to display, we can't really take a lot of animals to events, but if you're able to do the video, for example, if you're talking about milking during the Middle Ages, you can take videos and go ahead and use that to build on information that you could present that you can't necessarily do in person. What equipment do I have and what do I need? Part of what you're doing as an artist is you're documenting your work, not only to show your steps, but also to be able to instruct others and allow others to go ahead and follow that path so that they can themselves do it as well. So what you're going to be thinking about is, what do you have available to you? What are you using now in order to document your work? Keep in mind that you're wanting to take images or videos or sound bites or have examples of it where it could go ahead and allow others to know about your research, know about your art, your craft, and be able to reproduce it potentially as well. If you don't have access to cameras or any of that equipment, there's usually clubs or organizations where you can rent equipment or check equipment out. Because I live in a community that has colleges and universities, I usually say reach out to teachers, high school teachers or instructors that will go ahead and have classes available that they're working on a specific or a big project, whether it be video or a website or anything like that. One of the examples is if you have something like a whole play going, like the Golden Stag players, you could potentially find an instructor that wants to be able to show their students how to record that whole thing. So you might be able to work in conjunction with one of your local organizations or your local education organizations to be able to bring something to fruition. Do you know someone who you like? You want to work with someone who you could work well with long term. If there's someone that you enjoy working with and that you like working with, it'll be beneficial to both of you. And you could potentially be able to work with them, learn from them, and they could learn from you as well as you're both going through that path and documenting a lot of your work. Participation. What is your preferred method of teaching? When you are putting your information out there, especially at a distance, something that is available to a lot of participants. How do you see your learning process and your teaching process? How do you see that learning process happening? Will you be available to them after the learning process to answer questions? Will you be available? How will you be available? What is your preferred method of communication? Be very specific. Saying, like, here are the ways that you could contact me and when you could contact me, and this is what you could potentially expect from me. You're kind of building that relationship. It's not like a specific, it's nothing set in concrete, but you are putting yourself out there as a teacher going, hey, this is the information that I have. This is the knowledge I can convey. I will work with you. Just reach out to me, but make sure you have those boundaries. What are your plans to communicate with a wide range of audience? Go ahead and let people know, this is how I communicate. This is how I wish to communicate with you. If you have something, like, reach out to me. Will you be doing one-on-ones? I do one-on-ones with broom making if there's someone long distance, and I have a tendency to set up multiple cameras so they could see my hand movement and what's happening with the broom as it's being made. But you need to be able to think about that and go, hey, can I do one-on-ones with audiences? If I put my information out there and somebody reaches out to me and they want to know more about it, can I actually do a one-on-one? Is that taxing on me? Or can I have that? Do I have that capacity? Do I have the spoons to be able to do that? Do you have the equipment to demonstrate how to do your art? Like the example I gave, I have a tendency to set up different cameras so you can see different things. If you are demonstrating with a horse, if somebody's wanting information and you can go ahead and show, this is what I'm doing with my horse, and this is what the historical aspect is showing. Can you actually set up equipment to show or demonstrate what you're trying to convey? Organize your research. Is your research available to your audience? And also, how do you feel about that? You've spent a lot of time organizing your information, putting it together. For me, I love putting my information out there because honestly, I love seeing other people being able to do the work, but also understand that your work is out there. Do you want to put a note saying, hey, I've put hundreds of hours into this. Feel free to reach out to me. I would love to see what you're doing. Or do you want to not necessarily share until you want to get that information, until you've gotten to a point where you feel like you're okay sharing that information? You have to internalize that. Make sure you know how you feel about that. Know that if you want to, go ahead and put all your research out there and allow people to reach out to you if that's what you want. Can they recreate the item with your research and with your steps? I have a tendency to reach out to people and go, hey, this is what I'm putting out there. Can you be my guinea pig? Can you be my test buddy to go ahead and make sure that the steps that I'm writing out, you can actually do? Do your sources help others start on the path to learn more about this topic? I have a tendency to put all of my research out there because I'm like, heck yeah, you want to learn about brooms? Come on over. Here's all the information I gathered, and we'll see where that takes us. Can they access the sources from the information you posted? I have a tendency to post links, ISBN numbers, any way that they could go ahead and find. I've actually also put vendors to show, like, go here. These are my trusted vendors where you could buy supplies in order to do this craft. I want to break it down to the point where someone could take my information and be able to do step by step and get that. How often do you review your sources to see if there is something new? I have a tendency to focus on very odd and obscure topics, and I find myself checking every 3 to 4 months. I'll do a random search with my keywords and go, is there anything new? I've gotten to the point where I reach out to a lot of the known museums in England or in Spain and go, hey, just checking in to see if there's anything new. I swear, I keep on telling them one of these days I'll bring them cheese whenever I go visit England. But get to know your sources. Do you see yourself as a source for others to access? If so, what are your boundaries, and how do you wish people to access you? Again, you want to take care of you first, physically, psychologically. Make sure that you're able to organize your information, put your research out there, but also know how you want to do that interaction. You're putting yourself out there. That is not just giving information out there. People are going to want to come back to you. How much of you do you want to give to that? What boundaries do you want to set for yourself and for others? Your support network. This one's really, really important. You are an artist. We all want you to succeed and take joy and pride in your work. How do you have, who do you have supporting you? Who is your support staff? Do you have someone who you can bounce ideas off of? I have additional bad idea bears that I'm like, this is what I'm thinking. And they're like, that sounds great, but you're kind of overloaded right now. How about you table that for right now? And then I could go ahead and find other people who will do those amazing things. Make sure you have someone that you can trust that will be able to tell you, no, that's a horrible idea. You need those people. Do you have support to review your work before it goes live? I know a lot of people have that need to want to be perfect. We're going to fail a lot. Have someone be able to test all your stuff. Make sure you're able to get someone to read through it or try it out before you go live. Make sure you have some kind of fail safe. Make sure you're editing all your information, and especially after classes. If you do a class at a distance, get feedback from your staff and from your audience to be able to adjust your information so that it's more accessible to everyone. Who is in your support network? Who do you have that can make sure that you are taking care of yourself, make sure that you're actually able to do these things, that you can go ahead and put that information out there? Who has experience in your art that can help support you with, to get your knowledge across to the audience? All the artists that I've met are super knowledgeable. And I think it's really good to have someone out there that you could talk your information out with so that you can convey the knowledge that you possess. Even if it's someone in the field of study that you know that you are interested in, make sure you get a hold of them and go, hey, this is the information I'm trying to convey. Can you help me bounce ideas, or can you help me present this in a way that demonstrates the knowledge that I have in an area in a way that other people can access it? Don't forget to pace yourself and be kind. Give yourself room to fail. We fail a lot, and that's okay. That's how we learn. Make sure you have room to fail until you find a way that to teach that makes you happy. Try as many methods as you can. I swear I tried almost all of those different ones to see what worked best for me and an easy way for me to be able to get that information across. How do I share my work? Just to give you a little bit of background, I have a lot of information that I put out on Facebook with information, as well as my webpage where I put a lot more in-depth information. I have failed so many times. It's awesome. Now I kind of excel at failing it, and that's kind of glorious, and that's okay. Finding ways to show techniques by placing cameras at different angles. Again, it depends on what your art or your craft is. If you're working with sound, make sure you're working through how that sound was, you could convey that information. Be able to talk about your videos or anything that you're using in order to convey your research. Be available to do group teachings or one-on-one. Make sure you have that mind frame. When you're teaching a group, it's going to be completely different when you're doing a one-on-one. Make sure you're able to adjust with that and schedule it yourself so that you could go ahead and be able to prepare for that. Pictures and videos, what to do when your art doesn't make it easy for you to take pictures. My Stinky Messy tribe, we have a tendency to work with each other. For example, if we're working with skins or if we're slaughtering or something, it's really hard to take your camera when your hands are covered in blood. But you can go ahead and have someone that's supporting you, where you could go ahead and take pictures and to do videos so that you can go ahead and put that all together to demonstrate all your resources and your work. Why does it matter to get your work out there? That's really big. Getting your information out there. I think for me, it was more happiness. I am sharing all these cool things that I'm doing. Finding your support network and being able to have them be able to get your information out there as well. Go ahead and reach out, find your support structure, get your awesome things out there. It shows whenever you're excited about your topic, it really shows in your work. And I think all of us share that happiness. if you find yourself finding something so super cool, feel free to reach out to anyone, really, whoever you know that will find their happiness in seeing the research and get it out there. We will definitely share it because we love the happiness. And then that's it for my long distance tips and techniques. You could find me on any of those, either Facebook under Rosario Depew or Home Crafts, or at my website. And you could always email me and get information. Any questions, or you want to?
Well, first off, just yay, thank you. That's great. A lot of good stuff there.
Yay.
Yes.
And actually, since I have you here, Santiago, what did you find that worked well for you as during your distance teaching when you were doing magic during COVID?
So I'm gonna go ahead and bring this out here real quick, a little show and tell thing, I guess. You talk repeatedly about using multiple cameras, multiple angles. If you are really overly committed to this process, because that's what I was while I was doing this, I went ahead and spent the money on one of these. This is called an ATEM, ATEM Mini from Blackmagic. And what this thing does is it allows me to plug in up to 4 different cameras, which I can control from this little panel, and feeds into a single HDMI slot on my computer. So I had, most of the time I was only using 2 cameras while I was teaching the magic classes. I had a camera that was focused on me, and then a camera that was focused downward on my table where I was doing things. This hardware switcher, which is basically what this is, allowed me to switch back and forth between my cameras seamlessly without having to screw around with Zoom settings and anything else. Because as far as Zoom was concerned, it only ever saw it as one camera. Now, this is an investment. Okay, this thing cost me $300. And that doesn't include the cameras that I bought, because it's not going to use just an ordinary webcam. What I ended up doing was buying a couple of GoPros. And, they were old refurbished GoPros, so they were relatively cheap, but there was an investment to be made in order for me to do that. But I was teaching classes to kids once a month for an entire year, as well as doing other things. So it was worth it to me to invest in that device, because it made my life infinitely easier. All I had to do was reach over and press 1 for one camera, 2 for the other camera. That was it. I was done. Yeah, preset I got fancy, and I could preset crossfades and put picture in picture, and it was all press of a button. So if you're putting yourself in a situation where you have a serious need to be able to have multiple camera angles and things like that in a live stream situation, consider the possibility of investing in some hardware. For me, it was worth it. It may not be worth it for everyone, but it's at least worth considering. That might be the single biggest thing that I could add into what you're offering up here at this point.
Thank you. I think we're going to add that to the list of potential wish lists for the unreads. See if we could go ahead and do that.
And if you want, I'll contact me, and I can send you links for where to find stuff like this, and what you're looking for.
Fabulous. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was going to see, are you guys all interested in jumping into mops and dinosaurs? Let's go ahead and jump into mops and dinosaurs.
Let's go ahead and we'll stop this recording and send anyone to that.
Okay.